yeah. Other than that, nothing else really going on here. So, um, might as well get right. You want to get
All
into it?
right, let's get into it. I think we're going to start off with talking about Thunderbolts.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, which we saw this weekend.
Yeah.
I saw it before, like you were able to finally see it this weekend because there was
Yeah.
so
Right.
much going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we finally got to see it. Yeah, I liked it. It was a good movie. I don't know. I really I liked the movie itself. It's a very good movie. I enjoyed it. I really felt like I don't know what it was, but just something about the whole thing felt like Marvel's finally pulling everything back together. Like, like I don't know, maybe it was the way the movie was structured, but you have like Yelena's from Black Widow and she's in, and the Red Guardian from Black Widow, but then you have Bucky and he's coming into it,
Yeah.
and you have U.S. agent who is from the Captain America, or I'm sorry, from the Falcon and the Winter Soldiers in, right?
Right.
Oh wait, did I break up?
No, you're fine.
Oh, you waved your hand. I wasn't
Oh
sure.
no, I'm sorry. I was yeah.
All
Go ahead.
right.
You're fine.
That's all right. I'll stay. So you have the U.S. agent from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then even the bad guy from Ant-Man, Ghost is in there. And so, anyway, I feel like they spent so long, branching out, going this way. Now they're finally starting to pull everything back together,
Yeah.
and I really, I don't know, the movie was great. It just, I don't know, it did it for me. It was, I'm like, all right, good. I feel like we're back on track here.
Yeah. It's funny because like when they announced this movie, I was like, yeah, I'll go see it, but I was like, oh, it'll be probably be fun, but I wasn't like didn't have real high expectations for it.
Yeah.
And and like but it really was like I mean of the Marvel movies that have come out like recently, I'd say like in the last few years, I think this is one of the best ones, really. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, it was, and it's funny because like all of these characters were like characters that I didn't really care about. I mean,
Right.
other than Bucky, I really like Bucky.
Yeah.
And I like Red Guardian. I mean, I like all of these characters, but it wasn't like, it's not like Captain America
Right. Right.
or Thor or Hulk or somebody like that. These are all like sort of like I wouldn't even secondary characters or
Yeah.
tertiary
Yeah.
characters. Like
Yeah.
I didn't even remember where who is it the one from Ant-Man and the Wasp. I
Oh,
didn't
Ghost. Right. Yeah.
Ghost. I didn't even remember where Ghost was from. I remember seeing her, but I didn't know what
Right.
movie
You're
she was
like,
in.
you're vaguely familiar, but I have no idea where you're from. Right.
Right. So
Yeah.
like because it had been that long, and
Yeah.
and this movie ended up being really really good. Like
Yes.
I was surprised at how much I liked it, given that I don't really care about any of these characters,
Yeah.
you
Right.
know. And and now I'm kind of excited. Like I like, and I guess we should say full spoilers at
Full
this point
spoilers. Right.
if you
Yep.
haven't seen the movie. So but like, at the end they sort of become the Avengers, which is like this group becomes the
Yeah. Right.
Avengers, right? So yeah, I don't know. I just really liked it. I really liked how they did the whole movie, you know?
Yeah, I tell you that I was, I saw it later, and but so I was spoiled at the end. I was spoiled. I knew the asterisk stood for the New Avengers,
Okay.
going into the movie, but I didn't know how it happened, and I really was impressed with the movie. How like Valentina, like basically they're going to go apprehend her, and she lures them all, and all suddenly they're on stage, and she's like the New Avengers, you
Yeah.
know, and I thought that was so clever, and I just really liked it, and it just, I don't, it worked for me, just totally gelled, and I'm just like, all right, here we go, the New Avengers, like
Yeah.
I'm on board. Um, yeah, so I just thought that was great. Um, I yeah, I was thinking about the one end credit scene where they're all like, wait, Sam Wilson's, he just copyrighted the Avengers, so now there's like, I saw somebody joking around online like Civil War II, because they're gonna like fight over the
Yeah.
Avengers name.
The event, when he comes out in the end credits scene with we're Avengers with a Z.
Yeah. Oh my God,
Just
that was
just
hysterical. I love Red Guard.
Red Guardian is awesome. I really like him a lot.
He's
I mean, David
hysterical.
Harbour's great.
Oh
You know,
my God. Yeah.
you and I were sort of talking about it after the movie the other day. But he's just so like I love him in this movie. I love him as Red Guardian because he's funny and like he's sort of the comic relief. But then, man, when he has to have a scene that's like emotional or something, like it, he he nails it. Like he really did. Like so,
Yeah.
he's like this comic relief character, but then he also has these like that scene where he's talking to her about being like her father, and she's not there. He wasn't there for, her. And like it's like a little. Like a little
Yeah.
choked up on that, like on that scene. Like he play, like he's David Harbour's a really good actor. Like he's not
Yes.
just this, like in this movie, he's not just like this guy
He's not just this. Yeah.
who's there for laughs. Like
Right.
he's
Yeah.
it's a good character.
Yeah. And I was saying too, I find it funny with him. We obviously know him from Stranger Things, and he just kind of he disappears into this role. Like he's that good, where you're just like,
Yeah,
I'm watching he's the Red Guardian. You know what I mean? I'm just like, I'm just amazed at how he's that good, and yeah, I can't get enough of him. I think he's
yeah,
great. I'm glad he stuck sticking around.
yeah. And like that was a really good casting. Putting him in that
Yeah.
role was
Yeah.
really good
Yeah.
casting. And I have to say, like also Yelena, whom I also did. I mean, we saw Black Widow. I didn't. Black Widow was another one of the movies that was sort of like, it was okay.
Right.
Like I didn't love it, I didn't hate it. It was just okay. And I didn't really care about Yelena. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Okay.
was, and in this movie, I thought she was really good. Like
Yeah.
she carries the movie. Like I think
It's
she
it's
does a really
pretty
nice job.
yeah, it's pretty much her movie, really. I
Yeah,
mean,
right.
everybody has their character beats and everybody's there, but like she is definitely the focus of this movie, you know.
Yeah, and she
I
and, and she handles it really well. I thought.
Yes, yeah. Yeah. I know my girls really enjoyed Black Widow, so that was weird. That was we saw that a lot. They were watching Here a lot when that had come out. That because that
Okay.
came out right after COVID or right after
During It was like
that's right.
it was like one of the few
Yeah.
movies that came out during.
Right. And so I think that's part of the reason it wasn't well received or highly
Yeah,
regarded or whatever. But so anyway, so I came to and I enjoyed her character from there. And it was nice to see her. What oh, she was in the Hawkeye TV show too. Remember, she showed up in there for a little bit.
oh, that's right. Yeah, I did
Yeah,
forget. Yeah, I remember that. That's right.
yeah.
Just
And
her
so
like
she
an episode or two, or
an
was she?
episode or two. I
Yeah,
think it was an episode, but she was trying to
she's
kill.
trying to kill him, right?
Yeah, right. Yes, right. I forget why she wanted to kill him, but I do remember
I think
right because
it had something to do with her sister, like not helping her sister or
oh,
not
that's
trying to
right.
save
Right.
her sister or
That's right. Yeah,
something like
right.
that.
Because he was there when Hawkeye was there when Black Widow died,
Right, right,
and that's what she was after him for, right? And that was right because that was after she started working for Val, and so it was whether or not it is either implied that Val sent her or maybe just she just was doing it on her own. But yes, yes, right. So but anyway, yeah. But so I was happy to see her in this. I guess if my one disappointment, or if I had to have one critique, is I really thought by the end of this movie that they would have christened her the new Black Widow.
yeah,
Yeah, that's the only thing I would have, and maybe they're saving that for something else because even in this movie, she has
yeah.
the arm stingers, and I was like, and she said earlier on in the movie, she says something like to Valentina, she's like, I'd like something a little bit more front facing, like sort of like she wants to be a more heroic,
Right,
I think, and
right,
I thought maybe by the end she would be Black Widow, but then again, I guess they probably are saving that because instead of having her be Black Widow, they just came out and said these are the new Avengers. So
right.
that sort of I guess took precedence over top of anything else.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, she was. I really, she was really good in this movie, and and I'll tell you what, like this movie deals with some like heavy stuff, right? Like, I mean,
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
the whole depression thing, and
yeah,
um, and it's like I mean, it's kind of surprising. Like it goes like I wasn't expecting that, but
right.
but I felt like they dealt with it really well. Like how,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like I really thought that was handled well, you know?
Yeah, it didn't come across as a gimmick. It came across as
Right.
like a real thing. I mean, this is, like, hey, Elena's having this, basically having these experiences, and this is how she feels, and it came across as sincere.
Right. And then, and Bob is having, like
Yeah,
that, like
yeah.
it's who Bob is, right? Like, and
Mhm.
it was how they helped him through it and how they sort of win in the end. Like I thought all of that was really well done,
Yes.
given given the subject matter they're dealing with.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, I thought that was really good. Now I did want to ask you now, Sentry, do you know anything about Sentry? Is that a
He's from the comics. He's one of those characters, if I remember correctly, they when they introduced him in the comics, he's a relatively newer character, but when they
okay,
introduced him, they sort of said, "Oh, he's from long ago." So they sort of like made pretend that he had been around for a while but was forgotten or something like that.
okay,
Um, but I really don't remember like the bad guy or he's like a split personality, and so the Sentry is the superhero part of him, and then the Void is the bad guy. And
okay.
I don't remember that at all from whatever I read with him in it. I don't remember that. Doesn't mean it didn't happen. It's
Didn't
obviously
happen. Right, right.
it's based on something, but I didn't remember that. Um, you know, Going into the movie, I was aware of the Void and all that. I knew because I've more from the movie than the comics and all that.
Okay, okay. Yeah, because
Um,
that was all new to me. I was like,
yeah,
because after like at first I didn't quite I wasn't quite following, and then I was like, oh, Sentry is like I think that's like a character, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's a real. I thought that was like just a movie thing, and then I was like, no, I think that's
Uh,
probably in it for the comics.
Yeah, yeah, he's definitely from the comic. I can't remember. Oh, at one point I went on a binge and read a ton of Avengers stuff, and I just can't remember where it was from. But I know it's yeah, I'm saying more recent, but the 2000s, I think maybe.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, but I think they played it off like he had been around, almost like with Captain America, where Captain America. Oh no, that's different because Captain America actually was around a lot earlier than, and then they
yeah,
brought him back. Whereas I think within the Marvel universe, they said, "Oh, this guy who's technically brand new actually existed before," and then they kind of pretended to bring him back, something like that.
right, right.
Um, but it was either way, I liked how they handled him, and I'm curious to see what he's gonna do going forward.
Yeah, right. Like,
Because
well, that was my right.
he at the end he's like there and somebody busts on him like, well, Sentry could get us there if he could actually be Sentry or something like that.
Yeah,
And he's like, sorry, one comes with the other, and I can't do that anymore.
yeah,
And so you're kind of like, oh, all right, well, he's still around for a reason. They must want him for something. And then I did say, and I don't have it in front of me, but whatever the actor's name is, he was one of the ones that were announced for Avengers Doomsday also. So
oh, right. You told me
yeah.
that.
So he'll be back, and it does even say because the new Avengers and Bob will be back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Or says we'll return at the very end. I thought that was clever. That was funny. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he was a cool character. I just everything they did in this movie, like I thought, um, how they were all like how Val was trying to like get rid of all of them, and so
Yeah,
she
right.
basically had them all hunting each other. Um, I thought that was really like cool, and then that's when Bob comes out. Now, what like the Taskmaster
Oh,
thing? Were you
right. Yeah.
were, I guess were you surprised by that? Like I was
I I
shocked that
I was yes, not totally, but I because originally she Taskmaster was on a bunch of the promotional stuff,
right. I noticed
right?
that today when I was
Eh,
putting the stuff together.
but then slowly she like started disappearing from everything. And so I'm kind of like, well, oh, what happens with a Taskmaster? And then when they announced all the people that are going to carry over to Avengers Doomsday, her name wasn't in the list anywhere. Not that I know what her name is, but she didn't make. And so I'm like, well, I guess Taskmaster does not survive this movie. So
Yeah.
I knew there was that, but just within the context of the movie itself, the abruptness of just like blam. I mean, the ghost kills her, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, she was sent to kill her, and everybody was sent to kill somebody else, and all of a sudden they just blam, and no, yeah, they just boom, dead. I was just like,
in
you're just
fact,
like, what?
let me go back to my poster. Yeah, she's in that.
Oh, she is okay, right? Yeah, uh-huh. And I was, to be honest, I was surprised because the character design from Black Widow, I didn't care for. That was not a good character design based on the comics. Who the guy just has a skull face in the comics, but
Yeah.
I didn't care for that. So when they were showing her in this, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. I thought it looks more skull like. I'm like, oh, she has a neat look to her. I thought that was pretty cool. Um, so I was willing to give her a chance, and then dead.
I was just I it was so funny. The first time I saw it, I was like, well, she's gonna come back.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm sure she's gonna. I kept expecting her to show up at some
right.
point.
Somehow she survived, and
Yeah,
right, yeah, yeah.
and and then when the movie was over, I was like, okay, I guess that's it. Like she really is dead. That's So all right. Yeah,
Yeah, right.
I just thought that was. I do wonder because you know how they always do reshoots.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Marvel way they shoot and then they decide what works and what doesn't, and then they do research sheets. And I wonder if, like you were saying, because she is in all the promotional material, like all the movie posters,
Oh,
she's on all the movie posters.
yeah.
And I wonder if, like, after when they went to do the reshoots, they were like, yeah, she's just not working or we don't need her. And
Maybe, right?
they just decided to take it out.
You know what? Now that you say that, I just remembered I read something and I didn't think about it until right now. There apparently was a subplot in the movie where she was somehow trying to kill US agent throughout the movie.
Oh, really?
And I guess eventually they just said, yeah, this isn't working. And they got rid of it. I might be misremembering that, but it sounded like, now that I'm remembering though, it sounded like she had a bit of a bigger role in the movie at some point,
Okay.
and they eventually just got rid of it. So maybe that's what it was. Maybe they're maybe like you said they were just trying to make it work, and they're like, you know what, just
We don't need this. We don't need this storyline. Yeah.
yeah, get rid of her, kill her off.
Because it may have been too, because like I thought the movie was fine the way it was, right? Like I
Yeah,
didn't feel like there was anything that was, I didn't feel like it lagged. I didn't feel like it,
right.
so maybe they were just like, yeah, this is going to draw it out more than we need it to be.
And
So,
yeah, and not for anything, right? I mean, a lot of stuff anymore is there's that definitely some padding going on in all media, just but like a lot of times you're like, okay, let's let's keep this moving. And so it could have been very much that way, like, added an extra 15 minutes to the movie that didn't need to be there.
right, right. And speaking of US agent, I
Yeah.
also really liked his character in this movie,
Yeah, yeah.
which like I would again another character I was like, I don't care about US agent. Like I thought he was really good in this movie.
Yeah.
Um, like I really like that actor. Like I
Uh
like
that's
how
that's Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn's son, what's
is
his
it
name?
really?
Yeah, Wyatt Russell.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
I never put that together.
Yeah. I don't know where. I mean, I learned that somewhere and I was just fascinated by it. I was like, well, that's awesome.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
But I really liked. I mean, now that you say it, I'm like, oh yeah, like he totally
Yeah,
looks like Kurt
right.
Russell, right?
Uh-huh, yeah.
um, I but like that character, like I really like how all through the movie, like I mean, we saw him in Falcon and Winter Soldier, like completely lose it and kill that guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but like obviously he didn't go off in this movie like that. But I liked how like you could sort of see like all throughout the like that like anger sort of just under the surface,
Yeah, right.
like anything could set him off, like when he went off with Bob in the,
Right.
when they were trapped in, and you see that a couple of times where it's just sort of like he doesn't lose it, but you can kind of see that he could lose it. And I
Yeah.
don't know. I thought that was I thought he did a really nice job, you know, sort of not being Captain America, but not really being Captain America,
Yes.
let's
Yes.
say. So
Yeah,
yeah,
well, there's a
I
fine line, there's a fine line there, between I don't remember reading very many comics with US Agent, but he was basically like an anti-hero. He was like, basically a
yeah,
dark Captain America or what, and I think he did a good job in this. Whereas, like you said, he was an all-out villain in The Falcon and Winter Soldier. Whereas in this movie, they bring him back some, and he's more, he's in this movie. He's like a jerk. You know what I mean? He's like,
Yeah,
but he's like, but he's. I still found him likable, which was
right.
enjoyable.
Like,
Yeah,
that's a tough line to
I
walk,
think so.
right? To be
Yeah,
that guy
right.
that's sort of an asshole, but
Yeah, right.
you sort of like him too,
Right, right. Yeah. So,
know,
um, yeah, I was trying to think. I was just looking at the movie poster here. So, like, Bucky in this movie, like so he's technically when we saw him last, he was running for Congress, and now he's actually a
yeah,
congressman.
yeah.
But then, like, is he still a congressman, or is like, because
I get, I get the sense. I was just talking to my son about this after as we were driving home. I get the sense that that was a storyline that they were going to that it was going to be a bigger storyline over a number of
oh, right,
films and television shows
yeah, yeah,
that just sort of got smaller and smaller and smaller, and it
yeah,
just sort of gets mentioned in uh the Captain America movie, and then in this movie he's a congressman, but it looks like he's not now. I don't know.
yeah, I
Yeah,
know, right,
I that was my sense. My sense was they had a whole storyline for this that just sort of
yeah.
got whittled down to this little thing.
Yeah, because I mean, because it was funny because like I guess he
Because it
really
was like,
did. He didn't even have to be a congressman, right?
no,
Like, did any? I mean, he was in that one meeting, but really, I mean, that could have been easily explained as some
yeah,
other intel or something.
there's really no reason to have him be like, yeah, there's no good reason. I guess they had to have him there so that he was they had to have him as a politician so that he could be, you know, hobnobbing with the politicians and that
Yeah,
reporter
yeah.
person. I guess I don't know, but yeah, it's not a that was pretty weak. I mean, if I'm going to nitpick, I was like, yeah,
Yeah, right.
that wasn't great, but like, and it's like I said, like especially given that like what 2 months ago he was thinking about running for
Yeah,
Congress, and then all of a sudden he is a congressman, and
right.
it's very
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah, yeah, just like you said, that yeah, something was definitely cut or
Yeah,
truncated, like yeah, yeah.
because
So
I mean, didn't they reshuffled a lot of this, right?
the
Like a lot of
movie,
these
you mean, or
like the movies got reshuffled.
yeah, I honestly don't remember,
So
but I feel like they're always doing that. Everything gets shuffled
yeah,
around a lot, and
so I
I guess
think
whatever kind of bubbles up first, maybe is how they set their
yeah.
release dates.
But I think that's my impression coming out of it was like, yeah, they intended this to be sort of like some kind of a subplot that spanned a
Right.
few different movies, and it just didn't happen
Well,
that
yeah,
way.
and maybe right. Like you said, in the editing room, maybe they even shot some stuff, but much like
Yeah,
Taskmaster, where they're like, yeah, they're like, you know what, we don't need this,
yeah, it doesn't
let's
matter. Nobody's gonna care.
no, right, nobody cares. Just have him show up on a motorcycle, he'll be
Right,
fine. Yeah.
right. That's all you need. And that was awesome. That entrance
Oh,
was
that was
that
cool.
was really cool.
That
Like
was
that
yeah.
the whole limo chase thing was pretty funny.
Yes, yeah, that was good and stuff. It's not a nitpick for the movie, it's a nitpick for the marketing. I will say, and maybe it's because I saw the movie later, but do think they showed a lot of the action sequences in the trailers.
Yeah,
And I feel like for a while there, Marvel was really good about not showing too much. Like early on, I never forget for Age of Ultron, but when they were promoting that movie, they
yeah,
promoted the crap out of it. But like the whole Hulkbuster versus the Hulk scene,
yeah.
I remember being excited for that. And then after seeing it in the theater, being like, I've seen this entire, like nothing surprised me because I saw that whole sequence in the
Right.
promotional material, you know. And so, in this movie, nothing based on the trailers and everything. I don't really think anything new or crazy happened. I don't think I did nothing surprised me in that way during the movie where I'm like, oh, this is new. I was like, oh, here's the
Yeah,
sequence, or I was able to do that. So I get why they're doing it because they're trying to get people back into the theaters and back into
yeah,
the seats. And I give them that. I understand it, but it was just a small disappointment on my part where I'm like, oh, I was hoping for another action sequence that I didn't know anything about or see
right,
anything
right, right,
about.
right. Yeah,
But
that's a I agree. And I think that's exactly why. Like I think, when people are dying to go see these movies, they're more stingy about what they put
yeah,
out. And
right.
when they need people in, they put it all out there, you know?
Yeah, because even because the Captain America movie was like that, like they showed all
Yeah.
that Red Hulk stuff. Because we kidded around about that. Like, could you imagine going to see Captain America? I can't. Was it Brave New World?
Brave New World, yes.
Okay, could you imagine going to see that not knowing that Harrison Ford's going to turn into the Incredible Hulk or turn into
Right.
the Red Hulk? Like
Right.
you'd just be like in the middle of the theater, like, oh, whoa, oh my
Oh my
god, that
God. Yeah.
yeah, that would have been like a really cool moment to have. But I totally get why they threw the Red Hulk
Yeah.
everywhere because you got to get people into the theater.
Right, right, right.
So.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer, but that's the way of
Yeah,
the world now, I guess.
right. And until next summer, maybe when everybody's frothing at the mouth for, Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars and all that, maybe then they'll downplay some. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because I do, man, I really like, it's kind of sad. Like when you go to book, you remember like when these movies came out, you were like, oh, we got to get our tickets. We got to get pre-orders. We got to
Yeah.
do the whole thing.
Uh,
And now it's just sort of like, I mean, you and I went on Sunday. I mean, it was
oh,
earlier, but
yeah.
there was like, there was hardly anybody in the theater, you know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was probably the first show on a Sunday, but it's still, it was this the second or third weekend?
I think this is the second, right? I think we saw it the first weekend.
You guys saw, and then, oh no, then the next weekend was Mother's Day, and then this
Yeah.
weekend. So this is the third weekend.
Oh, didn't it come out Mother's Day?
I think it came out the week before because that's when I was away. I was on vacation.
Oh,
Oh, I could have
what
talked about that for things that what's been going
yeah,
on that
yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
But yeah. So this is the
Okay.
third week. So yeah,
Okay.
but I will say I was looking before I was texting with you. I had thought about going to see it, and I did look on Saturday, and a lot of the stuff was still fuller. So that was a good sign. I
Okay.
thought,
That's good.
you know. So
Yeah, I love the movie experience.
I do.
I'll never not want to go. I know there's people like, oh, I'll just watch it at home. Like I want to go to a theater. I want to sit in the big
Yes.
screen, the sound, you know.
Yes, especially for movies like this, where it's like,
Yeah.
that's for me, that's what I like about the movies. These small, little, tiny movies, I can watch those and be happy watching them on my iPad. But
Right.
big, larger than life movies, like I like to see them in the theater.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So with Thunderbolts, the only other thing that I was going to talk about was the end credit
Oh
scene.
yeah, we definitely got to talk about that.
Yeah, at the very end. So there's the end credit scene is them bickering about the Avengers and they call themselves the Avengers with a Z and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But then they get this alert and it's like there's some trans-dimensional spaceship coming and they cut to the video feed of it or whatever and they click 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 and then the ship turns and you see the Fantastic Four's logo on the side of the ship. And so that obviously is setting up the Fantastic Four movie. But I was very surprised. I didn't expect that, and I was not spoiled on that
Yeah.
before the movie, and so I was very excited to see that. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Like
Yeah.
that was neat. I was excited for that.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. I really liked how they did. Um, and also, just as an aside, real quick, I love that they're in Avengers Tower again. Like, I think that's cool.
Yes,
But
yes. It's funny. I hadn't realized that. I mean, I know in the movie they were in Avengers Tower, but I didn't realize at the end that that's where they still were.
yeah,
It didn't occur to me. So that's cool too. I
because
do. Yes.
it's sort of like they've staked their claim. That's like part of their claim to the Avengers name, right?
Right.
They're in the tower, right? I
Yeah.
think that's pretty cool. Um,
Yeah.
anyway, that's aside. But yeah,
Yeah.
I was also sort of surprised about the whole Fantastic Four thing. I thought that was great, but I like in my mind, like, how do you think that's going to play out? Because I'm kind of thinking like maybe, because I've been trying to figure out, like, after they announced Doomsday, and I was excited about Doomsday. I think we even talked about this a little bit in the last show. I was excited about Doomsday, but I'm kind of like, well, how are they going to do how are they going to do this? Like none of these characters have interacted. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
like we haven't seen any of these characters together. Even Shang-Chi is going to be in there. Like he hasn't
He
been
hasn't met it. Yeah.
anywhere in anything.
Yeah.
So I was like, how are they going to do this? And like I'm kind of thinking that maybe, like since they were talking about like that they're not really the Avengers, and they were kind of the running joke through the whole thing was don't we have anybody that can fly? Don't
Yeah.
do we all
Right.
just punch and shoot?
Yeah. Right.
So I'm wondering if like they try to like get the Fantastic Four on their side. Do you know what I'm
Oh,
saying? So that
yeah.
they're the ones since they don't have any superpowers other than the super soldier serum. um like maybe that's how they try to like lay claim to the
Oh,
Avengers.
man.
Do you know
Yeah.
what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
um so I don't know, that was just my thought when I saw that. I was like, oh, that's a really interesting wrinkle.
That could be actually the whole setup for the beginning of Avengers Doomsday, as you figure if the Fantastic Four. So I guess we should preface it by saying, so this is spoiler territory, but I'm not sure if this is what really happens. But we said we believe Fantastic Four is on a separate Earth.
Yeah,
And I believe that Earth is not going to survive. So by the end of their movie, I think they're going to be coming to our Earth. And that's when we see their ship, that's what we're seeing is them leaving
right.
their universe, coming to our universe. So, um, yeah, that being said, when they finally do come to our universe, I wonder if, right, the new Avengers, the Thunderbolts, will rush to greet them. And then lo and behold, the real Avengers will also be there. And
Yeah,
so that could be a really neat dynamic too. Like, wait a minute, we've everybody's
you want to
meeting
be
up.
with us, right?
Yeah, right. You want to be with us? No, no, no. We're the real Avengers,
Yeah,
but we have a Z, like
yeah. I
so
just think like it's really good because I like when they announced Doomsday, I was like, I don't know how they're going to bring all this together. I really don't.
yeah.
And like I hope it all works, but I don't. Right, when they made that announcement, I was just like, I don't know how this is going to work. And I can't imagine how they're going to make it work. And now, just that little scene, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, like I
Right.
think I get it.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, that's what we've been wanting that for so long.
Yeah,
And right, that one little scene, literally the shot of and they didn't have to show them. There was just their spaceship, and you're like, okay, like this is finally okay. Everything's coming together now.
right. Like sort of
Yeah.
like the Fantastic Four. Like maybe that's. I mean, I don't know. It's all speculation, but maybe
Yeah.
their appearance and their explanation about telling, warning this Earth about what happened to their Earth, assuming that's what is happening, which I
Yeah.
think it
Right.
is, um, is is sort of what gets everything in motion. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that you know. So I don't know. But now I'm like even more excited about Fantastic Four than I was
Yeah.
before,
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
want to see how that all plays out.
Yeah, I'm so curious. Right. I'm so curious to both. I want to see just how they do the Fantastic Four and how they handle them and how they're going to introduce them to just in general. I mean, because it's not going to be a true origin story because we're not, but it is going
Right.
to be an origin story for basically how we're bringing them into the MCU. So I'm very curious how they're going to do that.
Yeah.
And then by the end, by the end of their yeah, I don't know. I'll be curious. I wonder by the end of their movie, will they be meeting people? Or I wonder if that shot was literally is going to be the end of their movie, them escaping their universe. I mean, it could be like almost like a cliffhanger, like we've escaped, we've left our universe, we've come to we've come to 616, the MCU.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder I'll be curious to see how they handle all that too.
I think my bet is that their movie ends with so there's some scene at the end of their movie or an end credit or something like that where they're interacting with our heroes from
That right.
this earth, right? Like either the Thunderbolts or the Avengers, Sam's Avengers, or you know, um, I that's how I think their movie. I think the introduction gets. I think at the end of their movie, they're introduced to all these characters, and then Doomsday goes from there. That's what I
Okay,
think is
yeah,
going to happen.
and that makes sense because that would really, I mean, right? Because there's after Fantastic Four, that's it. There's it's just Doomsday.
Right.
So yeah, it's, by the end, right? If it's end credits, but right, there's going to be an introduction, and it may be as simple as like we said, the two teams rushing up, and suddenly everybody's together, and then oh,
Yeah.
stay tuned for next summer.
Right. Now, okay, so who are Sam's Avengers? Do we know that yet?
I
I mean,
don't think.
it's obviously going to be Sam and then that Hawk or that like his friend. Who is his friend?
Oh, the new Falcon,
The new Falcon. That's it.
right? So
So
yeah, so it's
it's those two.
Sam Wilson, the new Falcon, whose name I can't remember, um, Shang Chi.
Do we know
Uh,
that?
we don't
Have they
we
ever?
we don't know that per se. I'm inferring that, and I
Okay.
guess, but because at the end of remember at the end of Shang Chi, he had a scene with was it Captain Marvel and Bruce Banner Hulk?
Oh, is
I
that was
remember
see? I remember it's something about the rings, but I
right,
don't
and there's
remember
some
who was there with him.
yeah, it was. I remember it was the Hulk, but it was Bruce Banner's and right. And so there you're like, oh, I guess he figured out how to not be Smart Hulk anymore. But then the next time we see him, he's Smart Hulk again and She Hulk. So
Okay.
again, another one of those things. It's like, well, they must have been something must have been planned and it didn't happen or whatever.
Yeah. Well, it
Um,
wouldn't surprise me if they just try to forget that She-Hulk.
yeah, yeah. Um, but then what? Oh, well, then I guess I mean Captain Marvel was still around. So like now this is more just saying like who's in universe, but like Captain Marvel should still be there. Ant-Man should still be around.
Yeah.
Shuri as Black Panther should be an Avenger. So I guess it's it's
So it's
just
going to be though. So yeah. So it
yeah.
would
So
probably be at least Ant-Man. Yeah. Well,
right.
Thor. Yeah. But Thor's like we don't know what Thor's deal is, like, or where
Yeah.
he is, or
I mean, I just know that his name was, he was the first one on the when they were announcing the cast. Hemsworth was first, so
okay.
Thor's going to be he's going to be in it, but I don't know if he's going to be what
Right. Right. Right.
capacity. I mean, but at this point, he's the only Avenger left. Well, no, I'm sorry, the Hulk is still floating around. Oh, and Hawkeye,
Yeah.
but Hawkeye is like semi-retired, so we're not sure what's going on with Hawkeye.
Yeah. I don't think he's coming back to. I
I
mean,
saw,
he may be in it,
yeah,
but I don't think he's not doing act. I don't think Hawkeye's doing action sequences or anything like that. That's my guess.
yeah. I saw an interview with him where like they apparently offered him to do they wanted him to do Hawkeye season two, and
Yeah, I saw that.
then they were like they were going to pay me half of my was it half my original salary or something, or was it just the original salary? I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, I think it was
Whatever it
like
was,
the
he wasn't happy with the number, and he's like, no, I don't think so.
yeah,
He was like that was it was a little insulting, and I'm like, oh, okay,
yeah.
but
Well, yeah, and then she's like the new Hawkeye,
oh, Haley Steinfeld, right?
Helly Steinfeld. Like maybe she's in it. Like I mean, she is
Yeah,
in it, but I
oh,
don't know if
she
she's
is she in
it.
this in the movie? Is her name
Oh,
on the
what
thing?
did she have not have a chair? I don't remember.
I don't think she did, but I could be
Okay.
wrong. I don't think she did. So and I'm no, I don't think she did because I remember thinking like, oh, I wonder because they were sort of going down that whole Young Avengers road, and like that kind of stopped at was that that was the final scene in the Marvels, right? It was
Yeah, she shows up
Ms. Marvel and her,
and
right?
her. Yeah.
And then where did we see? Oh, geez, I'm blanking everything out. Where did we see? There was somebody said that one of the shows said somebody went out Ms. Marvel. Oh, it was in remember it was in Daredevil. Kamala's dad said that Kamala went to meet with somebody in California. Remember he was meeting like
Oh,
Ant-Man's daughter or something. It was presumed
yeah,
or
yeah, 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 yeah,
and
yeah.
so anyway, so there's some sort of Young Avengers thing going on too. So I don't know if what that's going to turn into. But so
Yeah.
so whether they're going to just be regular Avengers at this point, or if they're still Young Avengers or whatever they're going to do.
Okay.
Um, so basically, I guess Sam's group is everybody that's anybody that they want to use that's not in the Thunderbolts. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Right. 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 Right.
Yeah. And then you still have Doctor Strange out there floating around, what he's doing, Spider-Man. I mean, he's out
Yeah.
there. And so, yeah, it'll be fun to see what they end up doing because I mean, at this point, there's a lot of extra people that could be on the Avengers, but also might, could be something else too.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really excited. I see now that we see that I'm like, there's real possibilities here, and I'm kind of excited about where they go with it.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so this movie was really good. It really was.
yeah.
Like as for a movie that I was sort of like, yeah,
You're
yeah, I'll
right.
go see it. I really liked it.
Yeah, right. It's standalone. It was a really good movie. I enjoyed it, and then it was nice to see the MCU world building on a larger scale, like the stuff we like, the big pieces starting to
Yeah,
fall into place, and everything. We've been saying this throughout whatever phase whatever phase this is or whatever. But this whole time we're like, is this the movie? Is this the movie? And I feel
yeah.
like this was
This was the
finally the
movie.
movie where
Yeah,
people, things are starting to come together, and we have a direction, and it wasn't about setting things up to spread out. It was setting things up to come back around and come
yeah.
together. And I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to where we're going here.
Yes, very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really good. Really good. I think we're getting back into form here. I'm
All
excited.
right.
Let's
Well,
bring Marvel back.
yeah. See, that's I'm telling you, I'll be very curious to see if they can, repeat their success. Next. I mean, they got well, Fantastic Four could be huge. I don't know, but then next year with the Avengers movies, that's going to be the real test.
Yeah. I think Fantastic Four is going to be big. I think I
Yeah.
think I don't think they like I think they've been wanting to bring them in for so long that they're not going to do it haphazardly, or at least that's my hope. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like I think
Yeah.
they want to do it. I mean, because they've owned 20th Century Fox for a while now.
Oh, they could have cranked something out
Right. They could
instant.
have cranked
Yeah.
something. And
Yeah.
I feel like they were like, no, let's take our time with this. Let's make sure we do it
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Of all the
So
things, yeah, of all the things they had going on, I feel like that's the one that said, let's play special attention to this,
right,
and get this right. Because if we mess this up, we got a big problem.
right.
Because they're so important to the universe, and I mean, I feel like going forward, like, we did lose the old Avengers, a lot of those guys. I feel like going forward, that the Fantastic Four is going to be the new like linchpin, maybe you know what I mean? Like they'll
Yeah,
be
they might. Right. That's a good point.
like they'll be like Iron Man was basically, but it happened by default because his movie came out first, but more Robert Downey Jr. But he was like the driving
Right,
force. And I kind of feel like Fantastic Four might come in and sort of take that role on. Like they'll be the ones kind of sort of leading the charge type of thing, maybe. I could be
right.
totally wrong, but just given their history and their what they mean to the MCU, I think that's probably a safe bet.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So
So
excellent. Good
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
All right. So
So
do we have anything else on Thunderbolts? Are we good?
the only thing is Fantastic Four is July 26th,
I don't know the
maybe.
date. I know it's July.
Yeah, and
And
towards
it's
the end
like
of July.
it's like a week or two after Superman.
Right, right. So that'll be the next one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So all right, we'll wait and see.
All right. Good stuff. All
All
right.
right.
You want to move on to our
Yeah.
next topic? If I can.